You too, what is up? It's your boy and I'm back at it again with another tutorial. And today we're going to be doing a high fade on some braids, alright? So we're going to start off with our one guard open, and we're going to be cutting with the grain right at the top of that parietal ridge where the short hair separates from the braids, where that sectioning is. And the reason why we want to go with the grain is because we want to keep as much darkness as we can up at the top of where we're going to be fading to give us as much contrast. And here you see me use my little pinky to flick the clipper into the closed position, so we are now doing a one closed with the grain. And we're going to be doing this fade one side at a time, just because I didn't feel like moving my camera around throughout the whole cut. So we're going to fade one side at a time. And here we're setting in our bald line, and I'm using my Oster Octanes with the 3-0 blade on it. And when I set in my bald line, I want to make sure that I'm following the contour of where his sectioning is on his braids. So when you follow the section from kind of the corner of his lineup to the occipital bone, I want my bald line to follow that same shape to give a more consistent fade. And then now we're back to our wall magic clips, and now we have no guard all the way open, and we're making our first guideline, which is about a finger's width. And for this first guideline, I'm going to show you guys the entire process of me fading it out, because in my opinion, I feel like the 0 to the half is the most important part of the fade, and I think it requires the most detail in my opinion. So we're going to just, the way I fade is I go all the way open, and then I start at the top of the guideline and I work my way down till it's all the way, till the bald line is all the way gone. So you see now, I believe I'm in the lever halfway open, and then I'm going to go lever 3/4 close, lever all the way closed, and I'm just gonna take that bald line out slowly but surely. And one thing, when we're working with a really curly texture like this, is we don't have to worry so much about getting the bald line out, because we're not going to be using a shaver. On this skin and hair texture, you tend to get bumps and ingrowns when you use an electric shaver, so we're only going all down to a trimmer. And so my trimmer and my magic clip close blend right into each other, so once I have it all the way closed up, the line should be gone. You can see I use a lot of my corners to get it nice and clean. And then now for our second guideline, we're going to be using the one guard, and we're going to have it all the way open, and we're going up about another finger's width. And for my second guideline, I usually go with the one guard open, follow up right underneath with the one guard closed, and then I'll go with the half guard halfway open to all the way closed. And you'll see here I move into my one guard closed now. Yeah, my one guard open, I just set my initial guideline, and then to begin fading it out, I go with the one guard closed right underneath it, right where I set that line. And then here I'm with my halfway open, and I'm going up about halfway of that guideline. Halfway open, halfway up the guideline. And then I'm moving it into my closed position. I wanted to make sure to slow-mo and zoom in on those areas, or those sections when I'm closing the lever, so you guys can see when I'm closing it, because I do it so fast when I'm normally cutting that it's hard to get it clean on the camera. And now we're going with our final guideline, which is a 2 guard all the way open, and this is an area I want to talk to you guys about. You see I'm being very, very careful with that 2 guard, because the 2 guard has such long teeth on it. It's easy to get those teeth caught up in the braids, and we don't want to do that. We want to make sure that we're coming off of the parietal ridge, flicking out to make sure we're not digging into any of those braids. And that's why we go with the grain with the 1 as well, to get those hairs, because it's going to be really hard to get those hairs with this 2 guard. And look, you can see I'm going cross grain to try and get those hairs down to the 2 as best as I can. And you want to make sure you're constantly combing down those hairs. Those long curly hairs, they like to move a lot whenever you cut them, so you want to make sure you're combing them back down. And then now we're with our 1 guard, or I'm sorry, our 1.5 guard with the lever open, and now we're blending between the 1 open and then the 2 closed. I close the lever up. And then now I have my 1 guard open. And this should be getting that line pretty much all the way out, because this is what I set in my last guideline with, is with the 1 open. But I'm gonna be using a lot of my corners. Trying to get that fade nice and clean, but we're not detailing completely yet. We're just making sure that the lines are gone. We're gonna detail at the end of the fade. Also, oh yeah, so we're gonna do this second side, but I'm gonna just have it sped up, and I'm not gonna be talking about it too much because it's identical to what I just did on the last side, so you guys can just kind of watch and follow along as I do it. I did want to say, please make sure you guys stay tuned to the end of the video, because I do have an announcement. So make sure you guys stay tuned to the end so you can hear what's going to be going on with the channel. You see I'm going through with my no guard, blended it out. Now I have my 1 guard. I'm gonna be blending that guideline out, and then I'm gonna use my 2 and then blend that out. Same steps I did on the first side. We're just gonna run right through it. And remember, we're not detailing here in this part of the fade. We're simply just putting in the guidelines, blending them out. We're not doing any detail work. We're just making sure there's no lines. We're trying to get through this section as fast as we can. And then now we're going to be doing the back side, which should just be connecting those 2 sides in the same exact steps. You see I have my 1 guard, I'm going with the grain. And I do want to say, typically I'm not going to be fading and doing all this one section at a time. Regularly when I'm not filming and I'm just doing the haircut, I would just do that all in one pass. I would go 1 guard with the grain, and I'll do it all the way around the head or up at the parietal ridge. I'll put my 0 line in all the way around the head, my half line in all the way around the head. But because I'm filming, I am doing it a section at a time, so it's easier for you guys to follow along. But ideally, and for efficiency wise, you would want to do each of these steps out, each guideline, all the way around the head at the same time. And it's easy to get lost in the back of the fade, and a lot of people can struggle to blend the back to the sides and make it look nice. So kind of around where the back of that ear is, you want to make sure that that's a nice solid blend, because it's easy to get lost in that. And the best way to be able to make sure that your blend is going to be consistent from the sides to the back is how I mentioned in the beginning. When you're setting in your bald line, you want to follow the contour of those braids. And the same can go even if you're not doing it on braids, even if it's like a comb over with straight hair. The natural head shape and where that weight is going to be at the parietal ridge, there's going to be a natural contour of that at the top of the parietal ridge. And if you follow that with your bald guideline, the fade's going to be a lot easier for you to do. And you're going to get more of a consistent light to dark throughout your fade. And like I said, you want to be careful with those long teeth on that 2 guard. And usually when I'm doing like anything longer than a 1 on this hair texture, I'll have my comb in my hand, and anything lower, I'll be having my brush, just because it's easier to control the hair at those lengths with those tools. Making sure that that back is blended in nicely to the sides. All right, we're moving on over to the lineup. One thing I will say, when you're clipping alligator clips and braids like this, you want to make sure that you're clipping it to the long part of those braids, not down into the root. You don't want to mess those braids up or dig into those roots. And here we're going to be taking that hairline down with the same guard I took the parietal ridge down, and with the one guard open. And I'm going to show you guys right here on screen where I take it down. Look at what I do with my comb. You see in the corner how I lift it up and it's really light. There's like no hair in that corner, versus in the middle when I lift it up, you can't see through to the scalp. There's dense hair right there. So you want to make sure when you're going with the grain on these lineups, you're doing it in the denser sections if they have light corners. That way you don't take down those light corners and make them even lighter. You want to keep length of the hair on those corners. You want to keep them as long as you can. And we're just going to get our trimmer and start in the middle and work our way to the left, go back to the middle and work our way to the right. I will say, however, my lineups when I'm doing them on camera aren't going to be absolutely perfect the first go around, because the way I set up my camera, I have it on a ring light and it's directly in front of my client, and I have to kind of maneuver my body around it to get myself out of the frame. So the lineup isn't perfect. I'm kind of like reaching my arm around, and typically I'll go back and detail the lineup to make sure it's straight, to make sure that there's no long hairs sticking out. So if the lineup's not perfect on this first go around, that's going to be why. And like I said, now we're moving from the middle to the right. But you see how taking that hairline down but keeping those edges really helps keep a consistent look even though the edges are light. Just a nice trick you guys can use when you're doing lineups and they have lighter corners. Using that 245 shave gel, man, I was missing this stuff so much. I bought some shave gel at like Sally's because I needed some, and it was just terrible, a waste of like 15 bucks. And I missed this 245 shave gel, the applicator bottle, the consistency of it, the aloe in it, everything is just perfect. We're gonna just do our razor work and we're coming away from the hairline. Typically, if I can't recline my client, I'm gonna just do this technique. If I can recline them, then I'll go against the grain, but I'm short, so I can't be doing against the grain with them standing up, unless I do a reverse hand technique, but I'm not super good with reverse hand razor technique. I guess you could say underhand. And you just want to make sure when you're doing any razor work, you're stretching the skin away from the direction you're using your razor. So if you're pulling your razor towards you, like in this clip, you want to make sure you're stretching the skin away from you, and vice versa. If you're pushing the razor away from you, you want to stretch the skin towards you. And here I am detailing that lineup, making sure it's clean. And now it's time for detail work. And you see I'm showing you the area I want to detail because there's a little bit of darkness that's coming down into the light area that I don't like. I want to take that out. And what I'm looking for when I'm detailing is I want the darkness to be all one width, the middle part to be one width, and then the light part at the bottom to be one width. When that dark area starts to protrude into the other shades, it doesn't look as good. And here I'm showing you the technique I'm using because I have a one guard. And I'm using my corner, because remember, this is where I use my 2 at. But I'm going to use my 1 with my corners and just get into those little areas where the hairs were stubborn, or they're darker, or they're denser, or whatever it is. And I started with my 1, now I'm moving down to my half because it didn't get the job done. And you just want to start with the safe guard and work your way down if it still needs some more work. And here I'm even using no guard up in the area where that 2 guard was, and then I'm just using my corner, like 1 or 2 teeth on that blade. I'm barely getting up into those little hairs, attacking specific hairs in the fade to make sure I get it nice and blurry. And I'm going to do a before and after of detail work to show you guys how important detailing is when you're fading, man. Like, it really just brings the fade to another level and makes it pop. Looking clean, looking blurry. We're gonna go ahead and detail the other side now, and we're gonna do the same thing. I'm looking for those areas where I see darkness coming down into the fade where I don't want it to be, and I'm gonna work it out. There's not necessarily any lines in the fade right now. There's just dark spots, dense areas that I want to work out. And same process. You see I started with my 1.5 guard, a higher guard working up, and if that doesn't get it out, I'm gonna move down to a lower guard, to my 1, and then now to my half. And now finally with no guard, and we're just going to use our lever, play around with it, use our corners, flick out, anything we need to do. So this is what it looks like before we did detailing, and then this is what it looks like after we did detailing. It really just makes that fade pop and take it to a whole nother level. But YouTube, I appreciate you guys for watching. My boy came into my shop, he was looking rough, sat in my chair. This was the before, all right? And this is the after. YouTube, if you like the cut, make sure you leave a like. Also, if you're new, make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on those post notifications so you get notified whenever I upload a new video. And without further ado, the announcement I was talking about earlier on in the video. Yo, what's going on everyone? I hope you guys enjoyed that tutorial. I did say to stay to the end because I have an announcement. So starting on October 1st, I'm going to be dropping a new series called How to Fade at an Elite Level. This is the thumbnail to be looking out for. This is the thumbnail for the intro. And what this series is it's going to be a 5-part series that I'm going to be releasing every Saturday during the month of October. This series is pretty much just going to be teaching you a deeper level of understanding when fading, you know, learning how to detail, learning how to look at shades and values in hair, and how to get consistent blurry fades on any canvas. And it's going to be things like this, where we're going to be breaking down fades, showing more in-depth understanding of it, learning how to look at the shades and values, and ultimately just elevating our game. And the biggest thing is this is going to be free. I'm not going to be trying to charge anyone for this, mainly because I just want to provide as much value to you guys as I can. I know I have viewers that aren't barbers on this channel, so maybe this wouldn't be exactly for you. But for those of you that are barbers and you're starting out, or you just want to elevate your game, I would say that you should tune in, make sure that you're subscribed and have your notifications turned on so that you're notified when these videos drop. And it's going to be every Saturday during the month of October. A new episode is going to be coming out, and it's going to be 5 episodes. And we're going to go from understanding fading at an artistic level all the way to the practical application and how to manipulate our tools to be able to put out blurry fades. If you like the video, make sure you like it, give it a thumbs up, and make sure you also subscribe to the channel so you're notified when that series drops. And it also just really helps push the channel so I can keep giving you guys this content for free. Thank you guys so much for all the love and support. I'll see you in the next one. I'm out.